Funding support for this project was provided by Nexfer and Fraser Papers. Additional support was provided by the St. John Valley Times.
It is something more than just a road. It connects north to south, cities to towns, farmers to markets. It drives through 13 states, dozens of cities, and countless towns. It crosses the Hudson River, the Delaware, the Potomac. In Miami, it is Biscayne Boulevard. In Richmond, it is the Jefferson Davis Highway. In Washington, D.C., it becomes Constitution Avenue. In New York, it is the George Washington Bridge. And on the northernmost border of Maine, where it is known simply as US 1, it passes the home of Cola and Roger Pelletier.
And we're doing a documentary about US 1. What are you guys doing?
This is what we do. This is
We
what we
sit
do.
on the porch. We work at the house. We talk, we laugh.
We see all kinds of cars going by. People wave to you all the time, whether
You
they
know,
know you or
yeah.
not.
You see moose, you see bear, see deers. We watch them dig potatoes, plant potatoes, cut and bale hay and oats.
You see your friends and neighbors go by every day.
Yeah.
Every day you see them go by. We have a friend up the road here that has a pickup. He has traces in the road here where he goes by all the time.
Why is that?
He goes by about 100 times a day.
He's a farmer.
He's a farmer.
Yeah.
His shop is over here and his house is over here.
He travels between the two.
I mean, we can come up here and at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and sit here and just rock, and there's not a bit of noise or nothing. And we do.
Yeah. Very
We're
much
up and
love
down all night, all hours of the night.
it. We'll even come out here in the nighttime with coat on.
Absolutely.
We're just really outdoorsy people. Well, you know what? The doctor said that rocking was good therapy. He said, don't let anybody tell you it's not. So wherever we are,
Yes, it is.
yes, because he says while you're rocking, your whole system is moving with that rocking chair. And he says you sit there and you rock, and you're really doing therapy to your own body, and you're thinking of different things than if you were just sitting still, concentrating on something you didn't really need to think about. He said, so you keep right on rocking. So we do. Last Sunday night, we sat here, and they had a dinner on the ground across the river in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
And they played music and sang, and we sat here and enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Doobie doobie doobie, doobie doobie doobie, doobie doobie doobie, wop bop. Welcome Doobie family,
We're glad that you have come from near and far. It's great to see the smiles on everyone. Sing out loud and sing out strong. It's a joyous jamboree. Clap your hands and tap along. On est toute la parenté.
It's our only connection to the rest of the state. It's US 1.
Route 1 is the only street in town, really. The other street used to be Route 1.
We use it every day for us to venture into central Aroostook, southern Aroostook, or even southern Maine. It is our major link.
I don't know where it starts and where it ends. If you're in Florida, they say it starts there and it ends up here. We think it starts up here.
You're going to Canada there. The start of US 1 is right here, and you've seen this sign, you say, huh? 2,200 miles to Key West. This is Main Street.
US 1 begins here in Fort Kent, Maine, 2,209 highway miles north from Key West, Florida. Across the St. John River is New Brunswick, Canada. To the west, the forested wilderness of northern Maine. First settled in 1829, it became known as Fort Kent after a blockhouse was built in 1840 during a border dispute between the United States and Canada.
And finally, in 1842 is when they settled the dispute, and they have the Webster-Ashburton Treaty. Ashburton was the English representative, and Daniel Webster for the United States, and they settled this dispute and used the St. John River as the boundary.
Well, Fort Kent was when I was young, was a farming community, and we had a lot of small farmers. We did business. My father did business with about 300 or 400 farmers, and in wintertime, we were isolated here. No roads were all closed.
US 1 was there, but people would put their cars away for the winter, and so contact. Before the 30s, contact with the southern part of the state was all railroad.
Fort Kent's economy today is still supported by the forest of northern Maine and agriculture. It is also becoming a winter sports destination and has built a stadium for hosting biathlon competitions.
This stadium was put together for world-class competition, and we usually have 5 feet of snow here in the woods in the winter, so there's never a problem with snow, and they were looking for a site that had very dependable snow and a community that was going to support the site and the events.
It's green, that means go. We haven't had traffic lights in this town except the last year. We have 2 now.
Really? Just in the last year you got traffic lights?
Yeah, and I was proud of that. I used to brag about that we didn't have any.
Why not?
Well, because it means it's a small town and we don't have to wait for anything, and now we have a hard time to get used to them. I often go through them.
Route 1 heads east out of Fort Kent, through Frenchville and into Madawaska, the most northeasterly town in the United States. Madawaska is also the largest American town in the St. John River Valley.
People are still helping each other out. It's not unusual for your neighbor to go and give you a day's work for absolutely free just because you're building a garage. So that sense of community that exists in these northern Maine communities is very much alive in Madawaska.
As US 1 continues east along the St. John River, it passes through St. David, Grand Isle, Lille.
Well, it always was Route 1, but that's a new road. Well, I don't remember the year it was built, but the old road used to pass right down here on my lawn, going down the hill there. There was a village.
In Van Buren, US 1 turns south and leaves the St. John Valley. It also becomes the main truck route between Canada and the United States. The road becomes wider, straighter, has broader shoulders and deeper pavement. It passes through field after field of Aroostook County potatoes. And 22 miles south of Van Buren, it reaches Maine's northernmost city, Caribou.
And a man by the name of Cochran come up the Aroostook River, and he settled there, and it is said that he shot the first caribou, and they later made the settlement there.
It's part of our winter maintenance. We apply salt with our sand, and that's a necessary ingredient, I guess is the way to say it, for a diet for wildlife, and they will get it from our road. Where we've gone to what we call salt priority, where we put down straight salt with some calcium, moose have been known to come out and get down on their knees to lick the pavement right in the middle of the road.
The United States changes in Caribou, past and present, north and south. Caribou is the point of transition. While it is still US 1, still the United States of Northern Maine, new patterns appear in the landscape. 13 miles south of Caribou is Northern Maine's largest city, Presque Isle. Here US 1 passes its first shopping mall. Here, the past digs in while the future builds on. Presque Isle is the business and commerce center for Aroostook County.
In the 1820s, some guy comes from downstate, decides that he's going to settle this area, and eventually gets a government subsidy and calls it Fairbanks. His name was Dennis Fairbanks. So for a short time in history, it's called Fairbanks. He got going quite well and apparently was a womanizer. Got caught, tarred and feathered, practically tarred and feathered, and they sort of ran him out of town.
We always liked Route 1 because, you know, you could go in and out to little towns and meet the people and sit and chat with them rather than go down the interstates. If you go down the interstate, you don't see America. All you see is highway.
My father started me on chords when I was probably 5, then before I started taking piano lessons.
Now, how old are you now?
94.
And how do you stay so young?
Well, thanks to Larry and Dr. English and a few more others, I think music is the answer. Having something to look forward to. Going to high school, I drove a horse and wagon, on horse and pung in the wintertime at 4 miles, and put the horse up at the livery stable. Our way of life was simple. We had a good family. Sundays was family day. We went to church. On the Halton Road at that particular time, there were probably 40 farmers, and I think there's about 3 now, aren't there? And sometimes families went in the field and picked, the father and mother and the children. They usually came down from Fort Kent, didn't they, up in Fort? And so I told Walter, my husband, that I would help him pick potatoes. So we picked potatoes for 7 cents a barrel, and we earned $49 and something. But it was, I'd never do it again. I never picked before, and I never picked again. Route 1, it was a dirt road. In the spring of the year, there was ruts, holes in the road. I used to know all the people on Route 1. I don't know all of them now because they've changed.
Do you still drive?
Drive my car? Sure. Why wouldn't I?
So, what's the secret of living so long?
Well, I don't know. I guess you just have to accept of many things that you never thought you'd have to accept and try to keep cheerful. I guess that's half of it. And your friends and your family are very important to you. Reading, music. Because exercise and food are important. Don't fall down, break your hip, that's for sure.
this was the mother parish for the entire valley here. St. Louis served all parishioners to Van Buren and even as far as Presque Isle. It was the only church with its, only parish with its priest, and so it's a very important parish for the St. John Valley here.
The Roman Catholic religion is the dominant religion in this valley. It is reflected in churches, statuary, roadside crosses, and shrines, and in the very core of the people who live here.
I was born here in Frenchville, and I was baptized in this church, and was married here, and so, and yes, it's a big part of my life, and I've been very, very active in all aspects of the church.
The valley has many active churches, all with their historic roots and stories. More than potatoes or language or US 1, the Catholic Church connects the people of this valley. But things change. People move away. Families become smaller. Churches lose parishioners, and parishes blend together.
The last Mass was in September of 1978. What has happened is the energy crisis happened. At the same time, the area was losing a lot of population. And it was decided this parish could not meet its expenses because the cost of heating the building was so high. And that, coupled with the fact that people were leaving the area, that the size of families had gone down tremendously, and they decided that this parish and the parish next door, which is only 3 miles away, the parish of St. Gerard, that those two parishes would be consolidated, and they would keep the more modern building.
For years, this building stood tangled in legal maneuverings about its scheduled demolition until the Bishop of Portland had a chat with Don Sear.
The bishop didn't know what to do with the building, and he asked me. He said, I don't know what to do with the building. I can't tear it down, but I don't know what to do with it. I said, well, it would make a great cultural center. And it took me 5 seconds to say that, and that was 5 seconds. 5 seconds that changed my life. They donated the building with its entire contents.
For how much?
For $1. So we got the building with its entire contents for $1.
Sear has kept the buildings, its contents, and his promise. Today, the church is a cultural and performance center, and more. It is a museum of Acadian culture.
Culture that's still alive. We're in the top corner of the country, one of the 4 corners of the country, and this area is incredibly ethnically pure. Most people understand French, speak French. Most people in the region, whether they have French or English names, have French blood.
Before the 1700s, the area now known as Nova Scotia, Canada, was called Acadia and was home to French colonists called Acadians. Acadians farmed, fished, traded fur, and lived geographically isolated and independent of other French settlements across the St. Laurent in Quebec. But tensions between Great Britain and France over control of North America changed all of that.
Acadia was lost to the British in 1710. And from between 1710 and 1755 was the time when they were trying to get the Acadians to become loyal British subjects. Didn't work.
England loaded them on boats, spread them across the 13 colonies, and some of them fled through the woods, and some of them fled through New Brunswick, southern Quebec, and some of them, of course, through southern New Brunswick.
This traumatic expulsion remains as one of the darkest moments in Acadian history. Still, it would not be the last time they would be uprooted. After the American Revolution, Acadians who had settled in the Fredericton area were once again forced from their land by the British.
They knew the highway, of course. The highway was the St. John River, and they knew this area quite well. They asked for land above Grand Falls so that nobody would ever track them down again. This was really wilderness is what it was. And so they came up late June 1785, and this is where they landed.
They were hard workers. They were very religious. The houses show that they were very family-oriented. And I think that it's still in existence today.
With the establishment of the St. John River as the international boundary in 1842, the Acadians on the south became Americans, and those on the north became Canadians.
There's a real strong sense of place here because we are isolated. In any isolated place, there's an island mentality where you have to cooperate in order to survive. You have to know people. When someone's in trouble, you have to help them because when you get in trouble, you're going to need the help.
The Acadians who settled the St. John Valley carved a new life for their families. They worked the land, they worshiped God, and they cherished one another. They still do. For richer than the soil of this valley is its roots, a cultural foundation called Acadian.
Here, the pot they call it, and I made that this morning. You bake that for about 6 hours in the oven. It's a crust on top, one in the middle. You put meat, all kind of meat. Like my mom used to put, my grandmother, we used to put all wild meat. That deer, moose meat, partridge, rabbit. This is the meat, potatoes, and you put some salad with that. Got everything you want in there. You know, after you finish to eat that, you're pretty full. Salmon sauce is very Acadian, and they eat that with ploy or bread and potatoes. And they open a can, we open a can of salmon, and we drain the juice. You chop onions, you put onions there. You put some margarine, a little bit of butter, put that in your pan, and then you open a can of canned milk, which I'm gonna open here. And you put some canned milk, about a cup. So we boil that, and then I'm going to take that off with cornstarch. And when it's all thick, I take the juice of salmon, and I put in there, and the whole salmon cane, put that in there. It makes like a salmon sauce, and it's delicious. Very delicious, very good. And that was my favorite food on Friday, though. I always say, Mom, make that, it's very good. And we were 10 kids at home. So that's why I had to learn cooking of my mom. Because I had to quit school. My mom couldn't do it by herself. So I had to quit school and stay home to help her. Take a slice of bread, the maple sugar on top, and then you put some cream. And this is called pain râpé, and it's very Acadian and it's very good.
This is Albin Bouchard's land, a little more than 1,000 acres of fertile ground. It has sustained generations of Bouchards since 1843, and it still does. Only now, instead of relying on potatoes and oats, the family is depending on what was once considered a weed, buckwheat.
And way back in the early 80s, we my girls and my wife got together and they said, why can't we do something to bring back the ploy?
It didn't take long before Bouchard and his family began milling their buckwheat and perfecting an old family recipe.
And lo and behold, we couldn't manufacture enough of them because the store sold them like hotcakes.
They sold like hotcakes because, well, that's what they are, sort of.
The mix consists of buckwheat flour, which we grow on the farm. It's mixed with wheat flour. There's baking powder and salt. And all you do is add water to the mix. Traditionally, this is eaten as a bread with our meals, but you can also use them as a crepe. You can use them as a pancake, just add the maple syrup. As a crepe, stuffed with berries, with either yogurt or whipped cream. A meat filling. You can use them as a taco shell. And they're light, no eggs, no sugar, no oil, so they're very light and healthy. People don't really know what a ploy is, so when you market it as a ploy, the only ones who are familiar with the ploys are the ones that were brought up in this area. You go maybe 50 to 100 miles down the road, and people, when we first started the business, they had never heard of a ploy. You know, we thought of marketing it more as a pancake, but, you know, the people up here, a lot of them just think of it as bread. It's their bread.
Maybe if the Bouchards called their product pancake or crepe mix, better yet, fat-free pancake and crepe mix, perhaps then the whole world would know about them. But they won't. You see, a ploy is a ploy, and in these parts, nothing is a substitute for tradition.
We're not getting rich, but we're making a living, and hopefully that this little product will hold the farm together and make our heirs and behind them survive.
Archibald Fraser was the son of a lumberman. In 1918, he opened a plant for processing wood pulp in Edmundston, New Brunswick. The plant proved a success, and Archibald Fraser realized that papermaking was his future. Paper imported to the States came with a high duty. Pulp, however, was duty-free. It would be dried, then trucked across the border into the States and rewatered for paper making. Fraser realized that a pipeline would be a more efficient way of transporting pulp. He opened a paper mill in Madawaska, built a pipeline, and began pumping wet pulp from his Edmundston plant across the St. John and across the border. Doing so eliminated the need for drying and trucking, but more importantly, it was a way for Fraser to sell duty-free paper products in the States. In 1925, Fraser Paper was in business. The system proved successful. Fraser grew, and so did Madawaska. In 10 years, the population of the town doubled as Fraser added to his production facility. Fraser became one of the leading producers of paper in the United States, utilizing the vast forest lands of Canada and a duty-free pipeline across the St. John River into Madawaska.
I think it's the heart of the community, actually, because if it wouldn't be for Fraser Paper, I don't think there'll be a community around here.
From its 1 million acres of woodlands in Canada and its 500,000 acres in Maine, Fraser makes the paper used in homes and businesses across America and beyond.
You see us in just a whole variety of specialty papers, ranging from release to Bible to book to even if you go and buy cookies or dog food, that's also made by this mill.
The plant still operates today, as planned by Archibald Fraser back in 1925. Pulp is produced in Edmundston, New Brunswick, then piped across the river to be transformed into Madawaska-made paper.
It comes across the bridge into various storage chests, and then it's pumped from storage chests into the blend chests of the paper machine.
Pulp is a mixture of water and fiber. It enters the mill through the head box.
What you're seeing is you're seeing the pulp being turned into paper right out here, right out in front of your eyes. The pulp is coming up through the head box at about 0.5% consistency. It hits the wire, and by the time it's a little past the dry line, it's at about 15% solids.
In seconds, fibers connect, and a web of paper forms. A cloth belt picks up the material and begins the process of squeezing the water out. From here, the newly formed paper sheet begins the drying process.
The dryers are steam heated cylinders. Basically what you do on these machines is you put in 35-pound steam into the cans, and that heats the cylinder, and that heat is used to dry the paper.
The sheet is collected on a take-up roll and removed from the paper machine. From the head box, it may have traveled a half a mile or more in less than a minute. Fraser Paper likes to say it's not their machines that make the paper, it's their people. Roughly 1,700 hardworking and dedicated employees from the valley who, in a year's time, will turn out more than 450,000 tons of paper.
With the course of time, especially in the United States, because Yankees have always been especially innovative with new ideas, a variety of new technologies came along. Like, for example, this is a iron for charcoal. You basically had some hot coal, you put it in there, you put the top back on, and you're ready to go. This particular iron is the Acme iron, which we know of from the cartoons. Acme was a trade name for Sears and Roebuck. This is a slug iron. The idea here was that you have a door in the back, and they didn't do it this way. They did it with various clamps and other devices. And you have a slug, which you heated, and then put that in there, and now you're ready to go. And this is a gasoline iron. And these things were very popular. This is a Coleman iron, and there was a huge number of different kinds of what we call fuel irons, because some of them have a gas tank for gasoline, others use natural gas, some used acetylene or kerosene or carbide or other kinds of mixtures. And these, in this day, were sometimes called safety or comfort irons because people were very, very suspicious of that new technology of electricity. This is a fluting iron. Fluting irons were for ruffles, the kind of thing that we see today on the front of tuxedos. Back then there were a lot of costumes that had that kind of thing, and particularly in the Victorian days you had very fancy lace work on the front or on the collars, on the sleeves, and that needed to be ironed. Back in the Victorian days nothing could be too fancy, so you had fancy clothing and then you had a fancy ironing on top of that. And here this is a slug iron. You had a slug in here that you heated and you put inside. And now you can iron with it and give it that corrugated texture. Tailor irons, also called goose irons, were very common. And they were also rather, extraneous. They're not something you had to have. Well, in the 1500s, the Cockney word for a tailor iron was a weasel. And the Cockney word for pawning was to pop, which brings to mind the nursery rhyme, penny for a spool of thread, penny for a needle. That's where the money goes. Pop goes the weasel.
My name is Dick Corbin. I'm from Madawaska. At the age of 22, I was struck with cancer, Hodgkin's disease, and they gave me 3 months to live. I'll be 57 in November, and I decided if I could have a little place of meditation so people that were struck with cancer or any type of disease that could come up here and just relax. 24 hours, never closed, never locked. It's been open about 2.5 years ago. People come in anytime they want to. On weekends, you see more people riding around, so they come and drop up here on weekends. And people just come here to relax, and a lot of them do have faith, a lot of faith that's been happening here. You can see the rosaries in the chapel. Everybody brings in a rosary, and they just feel a lot better when they come here, I guess. It doesn't matter which religion you belong to, as long as you come here and it's expanding every year. People are just dropping in all kinds of statues, and it's been working out okay. It's supposed to be a Hebrew blessing to help others. And he says, all my life, even if I was sick, that's what I did. I tried to help everybody around, to tell them to live one day at a time, and it's more important to try to live today.
We get a lot of blowing here and drifting. They used to have snow fences along the highway, so that, you know, diverted some of the snow, but they've taken those down, and they're experimenting with planting trees along there. But I like winter because I like winter in black and white, from black and white photography, because you get the different tones of the snow and textures and so forth. You're not distracted by color. That wood fence was there, the lighting conditions were right, the snow was right, we had a nice blue sky, and the texture on that fence is great. It's right there, so it made a nice black and white picture. You kind of take, you know, the old newspaper man, you take the first shot, the establishing picture, just so you've got something. Then you kind of explore it, you walk around it, you look at it, you look at it with a different light, and if you're driving down the road, get off the road and walk around it a little bit. That is Mars Hill Mountain, just south of Presque Isle. That's what someone told me one day, that the field was in blossom there, and it was quite a field, so I went down, and I had a lucky that day. We had a rich blue sky with white puffy clouds. That sounds a little corny, but that's what magazine editors are looking for. It's a sniffing expression. It's left over. He was sniffing the air, checking the, conditions and so forth, and he brought his head down and turned towards me. Why he turned towards, me, I don't know, but he did. And I managed to get 2 shots. The one that I have is the best is when he's looking directly at me. At least I think he's looking at me. Maybe he didn't see me. Ed Muskie, Senator Edmund Muskie. And that's during a press conference, and I was sitting right down in front of him, and that's his reaction to a question that was given to him by a reporter, and he's thinking about it and so forth, and he's thinking, and I'm shooting, and it turned out it was a pretty good picture, and his private secretary had a copy of it in her office for the time she was there. That was taken in the mid-60s, right just off U.S. Run on the Duncan farm. He was harvesting potatoes with pickers and a more up-to-date potato digger, but he dug out this old one with a motor on it, drawn by horses, and was just kind of doing it just for fun. So it made a great picture. And people like it because it brings back memories to them. That's my niece. Children did here in Aroostook County. They pick potatoes to get the recess for the harvest, and they pick potatoes to earn the money for clothing, whatever they needed by picking potatoes.
This is how you start it right here.
Can you start it?
Well, I could try.
Sure. He found true love when he was a freshman in high school. Now, nearly 15 years later, he has a whole string of gals, and they all give him a run for his money.
When it gets wet there, it's hard to start.
James Pelletier is a man short of words, but long in patience. His passion is fixing up old, broken down, rusted out tractors.
Just play with them. You learn. If you could take it apart by yourself, you can put it back together by yourself.
Give Pelletier an old farmall and he's fired up. Give him an extra $1 or 2 and he's out buying parts. He owns 21 tractors in all, each with their own personality. And though he doesn't play favorites, he does have a certain fondness for his farmall F12.
Well, I like this one because it's small. It's the smallest one of the series, that size. It's got the little umbrella on it, makes it look good. If you look at the seat there, it's got my name written on the seat, built in the steel. You see how the seat is? It's cast right in, molded right, my name molded right in the seat. Had that done out. Had that done out in Canada there at a foundry.
Before the potato harvest is when Pelletier does most of his tinkering. In the fall is when he's a trucker hauling potatoes and scouting the countryside looking for his next project.
This is the oldest one I got, not restored yet, but it runs. A 1928 Farm All Regular. Back there is the first one I've done. It's a 1953 Super MD Farm All. Done that one back when I was a freshman in high school.
Life in the slow lane is where Pelletier likes to be, traveling along a country road behind the wheel of a farm-all, hitting speeds of 4 to 15 miles an hour.
Once you get them all taken apart, then you get upset putting them back together. Then when you finally get it started to go for your first ride after everything's done, then it's fun again.
Oh, I've got a collection of toys, the pedal vehicles, from 1938 tractor to 1941 pursuit plane, the Farmall John Deere, Oliver. This was bought in Camden, Maine, and it was just bought, you know, because I just couldn't find a Mustang anywhere when I started, and, you know, this has been finished by a fella in Caribou, and he did a marvelous job on this car. This car in the book sold for $12.95 in 1965. And today, that car will bring a pretty good price. Much more than what is, you know, much more than the $12.95. You probably add a few zeros to it, maybe.
You French do not let it out how much it's worth. Anything.
No, not really. Because when the day comes that we need to deal on it, we like to have a little something in our back pocket. That's the way we are. We always like to have that little edge, you know. We do not disclose a lot of stuff, but when it's in our culture. It's the Acadian culture, and I'm an Acadian. This piece here being a 1957 GMC, which is one of the things that I've always wanted to own, was a real 1957 GMC truck. This tractor, so-called here, is a tractor that was purchased from an old fella in Presque Isle. And basically, he kind of took me on the tractor a little bit because he had a hitch made out of wood. I never caught it, and I thought I was real smart, but he was smarter than I was. I was raised on a farm. I rode the big tractor. I was the oldest boy. My father trained me to drive a tractor when I was just maybe 6 years old, 7. He sat me on the tractor and he says, this is where you got to go with it, and you turn the switch off when you get there. I would say that airplane was probably something that I would have thought that I never would have owned. But fortunately, I got a good lead from a fella in the Carolinas, and I picked this up from a very reputable dealer out of Oneida, New York. And do you know basically why these were made? These were made kind of like during the pre-war days, and these were put in parades to entice the younger people to become pilots. How I got this car, I traded a Coke machine for it, would you believe? And it's turned out really nice. And we really like this car, pace setter convertible. It's a 60s, 1960s. And we just love them. I guess we love them all, but you know, those are some of our special ones. One means a lot to us because it's along the St. John River. We go by the historical areas of the Acadians. We just love it. It's just our ride. You know, we just love it. We love US 1.
I was being frugal, and I wanted a unique planter for my flowers. I painted one up, I put it on my lawn, and then I had a lot of inquiries about it.
What began as frugality for Vicki Pelletier-Garrig evolved into a way of honoring and preserving the farming traditions of northern Aroostook County. Seeing that people were interested in buying her painted barrels, she planned to give them something more. She decided to paint scenes representative of the farm from where the barrels came from.
Living in this area, we all have some sort of relationship with a farmer and a potato farmer in one way or another.
During harvest, I was working in the potato fields, and that was one way of getting money because I liked to travel in my younger days, and we'd earn money working for the farmers.
We find a farmer who's willing to donate 8 barrels, and we keep 7 for ourselves, and in exchange for the 8 barrels, we paint one for that particular family.
They think we're kind of loony painting on old potato barrels because so many of them have picked in them. And, you know, I have a sister that used to pick 100 barrels a day when she was a kid. She was good. And they were paying probably 5 cents a barrel then. That's a big job. But it means so much more than just the old, I mean, there's families behind these barrels.
You can't really generalize the whole, you know, each farm. They all kind of have their own uniqueness about them. So, you know, we can kind of show the uniqueness behind each farm. I've gotten to know all these farmers on an individual basis, and you get to see how these other farms struggle, you know. And some farms struggle, some thrive.
The farmers are just, they're so hardworking, you know, and this is a big sense of history up here. They've helped a lot of families, like my family. My father was not a farmer, but in a roundabout way, he helped farmers out fixing their machinery or you know, he'd stay up all night some nights helping farmers so that they could do their harvest in the fields the next days. So I don't know, it makes me proud to be from around here. Farming is, I guess, a part of all our families.
When you plow a field, that has a distinctive smell. Whenever you till the ground, that has a unique smell. When Dwayne sprays potato, I sprayed potatoes, you know, a long time, and that has a unique smell. The blossoms have a unique smell. You wake up in the morning and you hear birds chirping all around you. You get up and you see the sun coming over the horizon.
Well, you gotta be willing to work a lot of hours, I guess. You gotta be patient sometimes, like today. I should be out spraying, but it's raining, so.
There have to be a way to appreciate what you had. And if you never get away, you don't miss it. And I figured that those boys had to be away from the farm to realize if they were going to miss it or not. And that was the rule. You go to the service, you go to school, you go away for a while. And if you miss it and you want to come back, then there's room for you.
That's what the two older ones did. They went to college and came back, and the youngest one went away and never came back.
It's something we were born and raised into. It's something that's in your blood.
We've always enjoyed the work. You know, it's hard work. Some years you don't receive just compensation for the work that you do, but it's a way of life.
There's an awful lot of work that goes into raising a crop of potatoes or any other vegetable, any other produce that you find on the grocery shelf. The American consumer is spoiled. They have one of the best and safest food supply in the world. The American consumer has never gone hungry. In Europe, where the great wars were fought and crops were destroyed, people were hungry. People respect farmers over there because they know that they know what hunger is. Whoever buys your crop, whatever crop you're raising, will demand top quality, the best quality he can buy. If you happen to have it, he's your man. If you don't have it and your neighbor has it, he's their man. So that's the way it is. That's the nature of the business. Yet, if I need some help, I know that I can count on my neighbors to come give me a hand, and they know that they can count on me to give them a hand. You ask a grower what were the yields, and they'll say, oh, it's a nice yield. It's a decent yield. You'll never get the number. And growers are like that. How much did you plant this year? Oh, it's the same as last year. How much did you plant last year? It was like the year before. So you never get any specifics. You just get ballpark. It doesn't matter where I am when I drive by a nice field of potato. You know, it makes you feel good. It doesn't matter if it's mine or my neighbor's or somebody 50 miles down the road. When you see a nice field, you know that care has been taken.
Oh, here comes Joe. Going up to the mill.
Yeah?
Look at it.
Wow.
He's got his old truck going.
He got it going, doesn't he?
He's got a load of cedar on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, look at it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he does. Yeah. Well.
Did you see the eagle over there the other day, Mother?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Big eagle.
Oh, really?
Out
You
there
saw him?
Out there by the tracks.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the one we saw on the roof of the house down the street.
Well, it could have been. Cumberland's going by.
Is that Rocky Neck?
No, Cumberland Farm.
Oh, Cumberland. I'd like to go cut the grass if the weather will change a little bit.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Funding support for this project was provided by Nextwork and Fraser Papers. Additional support was provided by the St. John Valley Times.